All right, step two. We're going to paint the underside of the board. You can see here, I just flipped it over. This is the back side of the board. I'm going to go ahead and I've got enough of this flat black, satin black paint. I'm going to put one more coat along the edges, and I'm going to roll out this side of the board with the black so that when we get the other side done with the sand and the flock, and this is stowed, and I make other boards in the future, you won't see this pink foam board. Kind of makes it look cheesy. I thought it looked more professional if we painted the other side that nice flat black, just to make it look really cool. All right, I'm going to get this done and I'll be right back. All right, I'm just pouring out sections of paint. I got myself you could probably use a regular size roller, but this is what I had laying around in the shop to get the job done. I'll probably do 2 coats like this. Like I said, it's just for appearance's sake. That way it doesn't, look like it's a piece of foam board. And we'll get this painted, spreading it out bit by bit. I just had to do 2 coats. Let this first coat dry. You can see some of the pink showing through just a little bit. And we'll come back with that second coat and you won't be able to see anything through there. This would also, since it's a latex, it's going to help the board from moving as much if you were putting this on top of a big card table, or like what I use, big fold-up tables, big commercial fold-up tables. Around the edges, I got some old jeans on today. I'll get this done and I'll do the second coat on the edges too. Make sure we get it nice and dark black. Nothing shows through, no pink or white shows through. As you can see, this is a pretty easy step to do. And once this dries, we can get started on the sand. We'll start brushing on the Elmer's glue. We'll put our dry sand over it. We'll let that dry. We'll smooth it out, and I'll show you how we do that whole process. Again, it's also really easy. Pour out just a little bit more for this first coat, like such, and brush on this last corner. Try to keep it, just like if you were painting a wall, try to keep your roller strokes all going in one direction. Just to make it nice and neat and tidy. Like I said, I can't get over how strong, when you use that Fiba tape around the edges, how strong that stuff is. It is just really durable. Can really take a lot of abuse. I've moved this board around already quite a bit, flipping it around, flipping it over, the paint and whatnot. And it gives the board a lot of rigidity too, so it's nice and firm. So it's protects the edges, and it's also making the board nice and firm. And I guess another thing I thought about too to point out with this foam board, why using foam board instead of that heavy MDF, it's obviously this is a lot lighter, it's easier to move by yourself, but the dice roll really well on it. Even when you've got, if you use, like I'm going to do, if you're going to use sand and then paint the sand, because this is a foam core and it has some flex to it, the dice just really roll well on it. And that's, as you know, a big part of the game is just that whole feeling of rolling dice and kind of the casino feel, right? All right, guys, I'm gonna put this on pause, and we'll be back. Gates. We're finishing up the last little bit of paint that I had. I'm just gonna really go over the seams good. You can see this gives a beautiful finish to the underside of the board. It's something I haven't tried before. If I wanted to do it on this board, future boards. And I'll tell you this size roller actually is going to be my choice for doing the sides, because it really does get in all its crevices better than I thought it would. So I've been doing the second coat along the edges. Probably not a good idea. I'm sitting here wearing $100 Sperry topsiders. That's the nice thing about this doesn't drip. I noticed with the brush, I got a drop cloth here. It's just got drips all over it from the other day. And this, with these smaller rollers, you just get so much less dripping. Everything is spread much more smoothly and evenly. Something about using this to spread out my Elmer's glue for the other side. Definitely. Because Elmer's glue's got about the same consistency as paint, when you think about it. So these are little tricks we pick up, and that's why I'm putting this stuff up on the net, so we can all share our ideas, make our projects a little smoother. And like I said, this board, you can obviously do all different kinds of sizes: 4x4s, 8x4s, 6x4s. This is obviously the 6x6, and you can tell that when we get this done with the reinforcement of the fiber tape, this board is going to last for years and years and years and years. We'll be playing a lot of games on this thing. So, really a small investment. $80 in foam tape, $10 in paint, or less. So you're going to have some material costs initially. I'm figuring with the total cost, you're going to be under $150 to do a nice board. And don't forget, I got several other pieces over there I'm going to use to make terrain that were left over from this foam. And we're still going to do that 6 foot by 2 foot beachfront section. We'll be doing that as soon as we're done with this board. That's the next project. And I've already got some ideas how I'm going to do that. And we'll be experimenting with the water feature, obviously the ocean coming up the beach. RHQ has an awesome D-Day board. I'd like to try to do my ocean board similar to how they did theirs in terms of the effect of the water. So right now I'm just going around, just making sure the paint's nice and smooth. We don't have any high spots. And I'm not seeing any pink showing through the board. I wish they'd make foam board in a different color than paint, but that's all I've ever seen. It looks like some of the guys in the UK get blue, light blue paint foam board. So I guess we just have to work with what we get. Should get the sides good. I'd say the nap on this, the thickness of the hairs on this roller are pretty thick. So if you go and get something like this at your local hardware store, get that thick nap that you would use like on a textured surface, like stucco, because that way it gets into the nooks and crannies and the little imperfections. You don't want something that's really thin. You're going to want a thick nap roller. That's pretty good, guys. This just needs a good drying period. Probably let it dry for several hours. then the board should be ready to flip. I may even just let it dry overnight. We'll flip it, and then the next segment we will start with the Elmer's glue and the sand, and that's where we're starting to get a lot closer to being done with the board and ready to swap those tiles for this board. And see if I can find someone who wants to buy the tiles, and we'll be good to go.